Look at these delicious blackberries. You can tell they're in season. There's not the small typical blackberries that you see like in winter, but I mean, look at the size, and they're so delicious, so yummy. This is Bright Future Baking, and today we are going to be making mini blackberry coffee cakes. And this is what you'll need. You'll need 1 cup of sugar, a half a cup of warm butter. I usually like put it in the microwave to help it warm. 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, a cup and a half of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of milk, 1 1/4 cups of blackberries, and you can do a cup or a little bit more, so it just depends. 1 cup of powdered sugar, baking cups, cupcake pans. So let's get started. All right, in a bowl we put our flour, our salt, and our baking powder. So that would be a cup and a half of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to stir it all together, and then we're going to go ahead and put that off to the side. All right, we went ahead and put our cup of sugar in here, and now we're going to add the other wet ingredients with that. So I've got the melted butter here. You just scoop all that in, and that is going to be half a cup of butter. All right, and then after we do that, we're going to go ahead and put in our 2 eggs. And then we're going to go ahead and put in our milk with a teaspoon of vanilla. So that's going to be a 1/4 cup of milk and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I just mixed it in together there. And then we're going to go ahead and put in our sour cream. It's a half a cup of sour cream. So we're mixing all the wet ingredients together. And then we're going to go ahead and do our dry ingredients and mix those together in just a moment. So just mix that all up. And, you know, it's just such a wonderful time when all the fresh fruit's in season. I love when all the fresh fruit is in season. So I'm trying to, like, utilize and make the best of all the wonderful fruits that are available right now. So once we go ahead and mix that up, we're going to pour that into our dry ingredients. And just make sure to scrape the sides really good. All right, and once we have that in, we're going to go ahead and mix that all together. And once that's all stirred together, it's going to look something like this. You're going to want to go ahead and get your cupcake pan with your cupcake liners and just scoop that on in. So it's going to take, you want to fill it till it's about half full. And just scoop that in there. Now, if for some reason your cupcake liners like bend, you know, sometimes when you take them out, you can just push that in. That's fine. Once the liquid is there, it's not a problem. Unless they're really super twisted, well then, you know, that's a different story. But that is not too bad to deal with. All right, so now we're going to move on to our next step. So once that is all scooped in, we're going to go ahead and take our blackberries, and we're just going to cut them in half. Yeah, you can use a cup on this, but usually it tends to be like, because the blackberries are so big, it usually tends to be like a package. And I ended up actually using 2 packages of this because we're going to use some of this in the glaze. So we just like go ahead and lightly press that down in there. And I'm putting 5 in there because I love blackberries. They're so yummy. So let's go ahead and do that. And then you don't have to do this, but I want to show you a topping that I use on this. All right, so I'm just going to take some crystal sugar. You don't have to do this. If the glaze is enough, you can go and do that. I just gives it a nice pop, a nice sparkle to it, and just a little bit extra sweetness. So once you go ahead and do that, we're going to go ahead and put that in the oven. It's going to bake at 350. While we're waiting for our mini blackberry coffee cakes to bake, I used the extra blackberries and I just squished them up with a fork and then put in 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar and mixed it all together. And this will be like a garnish for the side. So basically, if they would like more of a blackberry flavor, they can go ahead and put that on top. So let's go back and we'll wait for ours to bake. So it is baked at 350 for about 22 to 25 minutes. And this is what it looks like. You notice that there's still the crystal sugar there. It's got a little bit of a pop there. And let me show you what the finished product looks like. Okay. So this is what it looks like. And then we have our glaze in there. If you wanted to spoon that on any of yours, you could like put that on your plate and put some extra blackberries glaze right there on your coffee cake. So I hope you get a chance to try this. And please check out some of our other videos. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you once again for watching this. And let's make the world a better place. Now, what I also want to show you too, now this is actually going to be the recipe right here. So you've got 1 cup of sugar, a half a cup of warm butter, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a cup and a half of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of milk, and then it says 1 cup of blackberries, but I ended up using 2 packages of blackberries because I did the glaze too. Powdered sugar, baking cups, and cupcakes. Thank you once again for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.